We've got answers. All right, folks, let's talk taxes. It's that special time of year again, the time when we all gather around not to celebrate, but to grapple with forms, deadlines, and the general feeling that we're failing a pop quiz on our own finances. And look, I get it. Filing taxes can feel about as fun as a root canal performed by a mime, vaguely unsettling, potentially painful, and you're not entirely sure what's going on. But here's the good news. Panicking is a perfectly acceptable response to tax season right after you finish watching this video, because we're diving deep into the murky waters of tax filing, answering your most pressing questions, and hopefully, just maybe, making this whole process slightly less terrifying. So buckle up, grab your W-2S and maybe a stiff drink, because we're about to demystify tax season 2025, one confusing form at a time. Let's start with the question that's likely keeping you up at night, aside from the existential dread of a paper jam when you finally hit print on your return. When exactly is the tax filing deadline for 2025? Mark your calendars, folks, because for most of us, the IRS wants those forms in their hot little hands by April 15th, 2025. That's right, no fooling, no extensions, yet. Just a solid, immovable deadline. Think of it like your least favorite aunt's birthday. You know it's coming, you can't avoid it, and showing up late is just going to make things awkward. Now, before you start sweating, there are a few exceptions. If you happen to live in an area that's been hit by a natural disaster, and honestly, at this point, who hasn't? The IRS might throw you a bone and extend the deadline. But don't go booking that celebratory cruise just yet. These extensions are location-specific, so check the IRS website for updates and details. And for everyone else, my advice, don't tempt fate by waiting until the 11th hour. Filing early is like flossing. You know you should do it. It prevents a world of pain down the line, and you get to feel smugly superior to everyone who doesn't. Plus, early filing means a faster refund, and who doesn't love a little extra cash? Of course, if you're the type who thrives on stress, you can always request a filing extension. But remember, an extension just gives you more time to file, not more time to pay. So unless you're particularly fond of late fees and the IRS breathing down your neck, those taxes are still due on April 15th. Okay, you've filed your taxes, you've resisted the urge to set your paperwork on fire, and now you're playing the waiting game. But unlike waiting for a bus that's running 20 minutes late, this waiting game comes with the anticipation of a little financial reward. So, how do you track that refund like it's a stolen pizza delivery car on its way to your doorstep? The IRS, in their infinite wisdom, have bestowed upon us a digital tool known as Where's My Refund? Don't let the simplicity of the name fool you. This tool is your best friend during refund season. You can find it on the IRS website or through their IRS2Go mobile app, because nothing says thrilling Friday night like checking your refund status on your phone. Now, before you can unleash the power of Where's My Refund, you'll need a few key pieces of information: your social security number, or ITIN, your filing status, single, married, it's complicated, whatever your heart desires, and the exact refund amount from your tax return, down to the last penny. Once you've armed yourself with this information, you can track your refund's journey from the depths of the IRS processing center to your very own bank account. Most refunds are issued within 21 days of the IRS accepting your return, especially if you filed electronically and opted for direct deposit. And speaking of direct deposit, it's like the express lane for your refund: faster, more secure, and no chance of it getting lost in the mail. But a word of caution. If you're expecting the Earned Income Tax Credit, EITC, or the Child Tax Credit, those refunds might take a little longer. Thanks to the PATH Act, these refunds are generally issued after mid-February. It's like waiting for a delayed flight. Frustrating, yes, but at least you know there's a reason behind the madness. Now, before you resign yourself to shelling out your hard-earned cash to a tax professional who may or may not be wearing a green visor, let's talk about everyone's favorite four-letter word, free. That's right, filing your taxes for free isn't just a mythical creature whispered about in hushed tones. It's a beautiful reality for many taxpayers. First up, we've got IRS Free File. If your income is $84,000 or less, congratulations, you've hit the jackpot. IRS Free File offers free guided tax preparation using name-brand software. It's like having a personal tax assistant, but without the awkward small talk. And the best part? This program is available until October 15th, 2025. giving you plenty of time to procrastinate and still file for free. Next, we have VITA, which stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. Don't let the word volunteer scare you off. These are IRS-certified individuals who are practically giddy at the thought of tackling your tax forms. If you earn $67,000 or less, have a disability, or need help deciphering the tax code in a language other than English, VITA is here to help. And for those of you lucky enough to live in one of the 25 chosen states, there's Direct File. This service lets you file directly with the IRS for free and guides you through the process step by step. It's like having a GPS for your taxes, but instead of arriving at your destination, you arrive at a completed tax return. But before you dive headfirst into the world of free filing, be sure to check the eligibility requirements for each option. If your tax situation is more complex than a game of checkers, think self-employment income, investments, or offshore accounts you're trying to hide from the feds, you might need to consider paid services or seek guidance from a tax professional. So, you've embraced the gig economy, joined the ranks of freelance warriors and side hustle superheroes. Congratulations! But before you start spending those hard-earned dollars on avocado toast and artisanal kombucha, there's a little something the IRS wants to remind you of. Taxes. If you've earned money through freelancing, self-employment, or even by walking your neighbor's chihuahua, you might receive a 1099 form from the company or individual who paid you. And while it might feel like just another piece of junk mail, ignoring a 1099 is about as wise as trying to outrun a cheetah on a unicycle. Here's the deal. The IRS wants to know about all your income, even if it came from that Etsy shop you started selling hand-knitted tea cozies for hedgehogs. And yes, that includes income from side hustles, freelance work, and even those odd jobs you do for cash. So what do you do when that 1099 arrives in your mailbox? First, don't panic. Second, report the income on your tax return. Transparency is key when it comes to the IRS, and they love nothing more than a taxpayer who reports all their earnings. Now for the good news, if you're self-employed, you can claim deductions for work-related expenses. That's right, those office supplies, mileage logs, and even a portion of your home office can help reduce your taxable income. It's like a financial hug from the IRS, except instead of a hug, it's a slightly smaller tax bill. But here's the catch. As an independent contractor, you're responsible for both the employer and employee portions of Social Security and Medicare taxes, also known as self-employment taxes. Think of it as the price of freedom. The freedom to set your own hours, choose your own clients, and pay a slightly higher percentage of your income to the government. My advice? Keep meticulous records of all your income and expenses. It might seem tedious, but trust me, when it comes to tax time, you'll thank me. Plus, organized financial records are like a warm bath for your inner control freak. Soothing, satisfying, and surprisingly enjoyable. All right, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the giant stack of unpaid tax bills looming over your head like a financial storm cloud. Owing taxes is never fun, but owing more than you can pay can feel downright terrifying. But before you start updating your resume for a job at a Swiss bank with questionable ethics, take a deep breath. The IRS might be many things: powerful, persistent, surprisingly well-versed in tax law, but they're not monsters. If you find yourself staring down the barrel of a tax debt you can't afford, the first thing to remember is, don't panic. The second thing to remember is, don't ignore it. The IRS is like that friend who never forgets a debt, no matter how small. Ignoring them will only make things worse. Fortunately, the IRS offers a few lifelines for those struggling with tax debt. First, there's the short-term payment plan. If you can pay off your balance within 120 days, you might qualify for this plan, and the best part? No setup fee. It's like a get-out-of-jail-free card, but instead of jail, it's crippling tax debt. If you need a bit more breathing room, the IRS also offers long-term installment agreements. These agreements allow you to make monthly payments over a more extended period. It's like a payment plan for your taxes, but instead of a shiny new car, you're paying off the privilege of living in a society with roads and bridges and other things funded by taxes. And in some cases, for those facing significant financial hardship, the IRS might even accept a lower amount than what you owe through an offer in compromise. Think of it like haggling with the IRS, but instead of a rug and a Moroccan bazaar, you're negotiating your financial future. The key takeaway here? Even if you can't pay your full balance right away, file your tax return on time. This simple act can save you a world of penalties and late fees. And once you've filed, reach out to the IRS. They might surprise you with their willingness to work with you to create a manageable payment plan. Tax season, the most wonderful time of the year. For scammers, that is. While we're all busy trying to decipher the tax code and avoid a financial audit, fraudsters are lurking in the shadows, eager to snatch your personal information like it's a winning lottery ticket. But before you start living off the grid and paying your taxes in gold bullion, let's talk about how to protect yourself from these digital bandits. First and foremost, remember this. The IRS will never, I repeat, never, call or email you demanding immediate payment or asking for personal details like your social security number. If you get a call from someone claiming to be from the IRS, threatening you with jail time if you don't pay up immediately, it's a scam. Hang up, report the number, and treat yourself to a calming cup of herbal tea. You've earned it. The same goes for emails. If you receive an email that looks even remotely suspicious, don't click on any links, don't open any attachments, just delete it faster than you can say tax-deductible donation. Phishing emails are like that friend who invites you to a party, but when you arrive, it's just them, in their pajamas, eating cold pizza. Disappointing, awkward, and best avoided entirely. And speaking of things to avoid, be cautious when choosing a tax professional. While there are plenty of reputable and ethical tax preparers out there are also, unfortunately, a few bad apples in the bunch. Avoid preparers who promise you outrageously large refunds or pressure you to sign forms without explaining them. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. When in doubt, check the IRS website. They have a dedicated page for reporting tax scams and a wealth of information on how to protect yourself from fraud. Because trust me, dealing with a tax scam is about as fun as a root canal performed by a mime with a rusty spoon. So, there you have it, folks. A crash course in navigating the wild and wacky world of tax season 2025. It might not be as exciting as a root canal performed by a mime, but hopefully it's been a bit more informative. Remember, filing your taxes doesn't have to be a traumatic experience. With the right information, a healthy dose of skepticism, and maybe a stress ball shaped like a 1040 form, you can conquer this tax season like a true financial warrior. Whether you're a seasoned filer or a tax newbie, meeting those deadlines, filing accurately, and dodging scams are crucial to a stress-free, or at least a less stressful, tax season. And remember, the IRS, despite its fearsome reputation, is actually on your side. Stay updated with their announcements, and if you're ever unsure about something, don't hesitate to seek help from a trusted professional. Because when it comes to taxes, it's always better to be safe than sorry. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go file my taxes. Just kidding. I'm going to go stress eat a bag of chips and pretend this whole thing isn't happening.